We have now left the departure point. Welcome to Cardano DeFi in motion. We now have 3 major DEXs in operation with many more DeFi platforms to come in the next several months. Not all of them will be winners. Not all of them will be losers. But it'll be interesting for us as an ecosystem to watch the wheat get separated from the chaff. Ready? Let's go. We're going to discuss the fantastic underdog story that has been MuesliSwap and how I think that team probably deserves even more respect than they're currently getting. We're going to talk about the ADAX launch that went down today, the Meld Airdrop that happened recently, and in news that could have ripple effects that reach us in crypto eventually, we'll talk about how Oaktree of Los Angeles is doing some Game of Thrones stuff on Evergrande. They have seized a castle. MuesliSwap came out of the blue in late November and surprised us all. Nobody knew who they were. We had some first names and some computer drawings representing their faces, and that was about it. They took a lot of flack right out of the gate, a lot of friction with people asking the kind of questions an ecosystem probably should ask about an anonymous project. I think they launched on, was it November 27th, somewhere thereabouts. I myself even did a video on November 30th where I said, hey, we just don't know at this point. This could all be on the up and up, or this could be the bad scenario. And then I launched into a long discussion of the game theoretics surrounding their offline matchmakers. I still like to think from time to time about the game theory elements around the offline matchmaking and specifically the scenario where they have multiple matchmakers. But I think at this point, we can say that all those things aside, this has turned out to be the best version of those possible futures we talked about back on November 30th. At that point, we just didn't know. We knew they were selling these milk tokens, and people were, obviously sounding the alarm about the possible bad scenario in the future because it's an anonymous project. And we didn't know if it was going to go that way or if it was going to be the good scenario. I think all the game theory stuff aside, this has turned out to be the best possible scenario. We had a semi-anonymous, like I'll say mostly anonymous team. All we had was first name, and we had some graphics, which basically told us if they had mustaches or not. But this has turned out to be the best possible scenario. Eventually, the team docs themselves. They're like showing up on video, in interviews now. And we kind of know a little bit about their backgrounds even, and their DEX has performed great. Every step of the way, people started making trades early on, and they were like, hey, I've made a few trades and it worked out perfectly. And it's just gotten better and better and better since then. And the sentiment towards MuesliSwap, of course, has improved. I like to think that one of the great things about the Cardano ecosystem is that it's a system based on merit. And MuesliSwap has certainly shown a great amount of merit in that their DEX worked great. It's been affected now that once we had SundaySwap launch as well. Of course, the same congestion that was affecting SundaySwap was instantly kind of affecting MuesliSwap. But the MuesliSwap DEX has performed wonderfully. And also because they were kind of anonymous, MuesliSwap wasn't the beneficiary of the huge amount of expectation and sort of like media presence that something like a SundaySwap had. MuesliSwap didn't have any of those things going for it. It just kind of popped up, and it achieved adoption the old-fashioned way by delivering a great product. And they did it first, but they also did it really, really well. One of the reasons why I think MuesliSwap probably, and the community sentiment towards MuesliSwap has like improved, gradually but consistently ever since the launch. I think every single day sentiment has gotten better to the point now where people are coming straight out and, even people who are extremely critical in the days after the MuesliSwap launch, even those people have come out and said, actually, I've been using it. It works great. This is a great DEX in Cardano. I think so. I'm really happy to see that sentiment has become so positive towards MuesliSwap. But the reason why I think they probably deserve even more credit for what they've done than they're even getting now, even with all the newly positive sentiment, is that they did something completely different. We have a whole bunch of AMMs launching on Cardano, sort of degrees of AMM. I know SundaySwap bills itself as a hybrid order book AMM, and there's definitely LPing going on. And I think a lot of the other DEXs are going to kind of follow that path to some degree. They're kind of, it seems like the DEXs we know about, the bulk of them seem to be some sort of AMM. MuesliSwap is not. MuesliSwap is more of a straight order book. Nobody's LPing into any MuesliSwap pools in the traditional sense of that word. Sure, you could say that somebody placing an order in the order book, they're technically providing liquidity for that market, but this is not the traditional template for an AMM that everybody's so used to from the account balance world. And this begs the question, maybe this type of order book model is more appropriate for an EUTXO environment. Maybe EUTXO lends itself to something that looks a lot more like a traditional order book, like we see in MuesliSwap, than it does to an AMM type environment. I actually think they're both going to work great. I think AMMs will work great in EUTXO. I think order books will work great as well. It'll be interesting to see, though, if either one proves itself to be either model proves itself to be slightly ahead of the other. They're very different. And I've been using both. I've used both pretty extensively at this point. I've made multiple successful trades on SundaySwap, and I've made many more trades on MuesliSwap. They're very different in that, especially with this congestion, you're setting that slippage threshold in SundaySwap, and you're kind of hoping to get the trade at a price on the favorable side of your slippage threshold, not on the very bad side. And when the price is moving so much and there's so much congestion and there's going to be such a delay to get your order in, of course, everyone's setting their slippage very high. This doesn't happen in MuesliSwap. There's an order there, and if you want to execute against the order instead of adding an order to the order book, you know exactly what price that trade is going to happen at. Sure, there's also mad congestion across the blockchain right now, and MuesliSwap is no exception to that. So somebody else might have already stolen that trade from you. They might have already executed a trade against that order that's already in the order book before you get there, even though it's still showing up in the interface. This is all part of the congestion, and that wasn't the case prior to the SundaySwap launch, prior to those, basically tens of thousands of people. I haven't checked the order book depth or the order depth over in the SundaySwap ADA liquidity pool at SundaySwap. But when I checked on, was it Thursday or Friday, it was still at that 11,000 mark. So there's a lot of people. A lot of people are newly trading since the SundaySwap launch, and they're also trading on Muesli, and we've just got a lot of congestion across the blockchain. That's also affecting MuesliSwap. But there's no denying the paradigms are very different between SundaySwap and MuesliSwap. And I think MuesliSwap deserves even more credit than they're getting now for bringing us something so different than everyone else. Everyone else seems to be pursuing that AMM sort of model, a cognate of Uniswap from the account balance world. MuesliSwap went on a limb, brought us something completely different, and we don't know. At the end of the day, it may turn out that something like a traditional order book is more suited to EUTXO. It's going to get even more interesting, I think, with the version 2 that MuesliSwap has been promising, which may include partial execution. Instead of having currently, if you want to execute against an order in the order book, you have to match the volume that was indicated in that existing order. With partial matching, you could match just part of an order in the order book, which is going to make it a lot simpler to do something that feels a lot more like a normal market order in a centralized exchange. Currently, when I want to make a trade, I find myself going back and forth between MuesliSwap and SundaySwap. First, I'll look in the MuesliSwap order book, see if there's a trade at a volume that I'm comfortable with. If so, I make the trade there. If not, I'll head on over to SundaySwap because I know I can trade at whatever volume I want, given enough liquidity in the pool, of course. And then it's just down to worrying about slippage threshold and how high I want to set that given whatever the order depth is in that pool. But if Muesli launches this version 2 with partial order matching, the calculus about whether to use MuesliSwap or SundaySwap may change for some people. By way of disclosure, you'll remember that I previously said I own a bunch of MuesliSwap milk tokens. Those tokens have become even more intriguing to me recently, and it's because of this. We have this roadmap in the MuesliSwap documents available on their website, the roadmap of the milk token. And among those 7 roadmap items, we see number 4, staking of milk. They say earn other tokens as a reward for holding milk. You're probably watching this video on January 31st. They say more information about the staking will be released on January 31st. If you're like me, that probably made you ask, what tokens are these milky rewards, their phrase, milky rewards, going to be made of? Because we know that from their documents, my reading their documents tells me that there are only going to be 10 million milk tokens as a total supply. There aren't going to be more milk tokens. So it would seem that those milky reward tokens are not going to be more milk. Then we saw on Friday, this change to their fee structure. And it provides some discounts if you're holding 100 or 500 milk in your wallet. The prices are still super low, even with this price change. But it makes you ask the question, okay, now we've got slightly higher prices. It's not as ridiculously cheap as it was before. It's still cheapest option out there as far as I know. But is it possible that part of the rewards or all of the rewards for the milk token staking will be made up of fees from the DEX? This definitely piqued my interest. Like I said, the MuesliSwap team has also been showing up for things like interviews on full video and Twitter Spaces. I noticed when they did the interview with Rick McCracken recently that there seemed to be a lot of smiling from the team members who were in that interview when the subject of MuesliSwap milk tokens came up. They were smiling like they knew they were about to do something awesome, something that the community would really like. This is just my interpretation, so don't read too much into this. But my interpretation of that video was they seemed very confident and happy about something they were about to do. My interpretation is that they knew they were about to do something that everybody was really going to like. Then just today, I believe, they were on this Twitter space with Subcritical. This was really good. I definitely suggest you check this out. At one point, they got the question, hey, what's going on with the milk staking? I think the person even asking the question probably already knew that it was scheduled. More details were scheduled for release on the 31st when you're probably listening to this video. But this person asked the question, and the 2 team members, one of them said, do you want to talk about that now? It was kind of like, should we reveal that now or not? And I got the same impression that whatever was going to be revealed about the milk staking was going to be interesting. I got the same impression that it was some kind of a big surprise. What they would tell us is that the rewards would be other tokens, not more milk tokens. We kind of already knew that because the total supply is 10 million, and those are all already accounted for. The question is, though, what are these other tokens going to be? Is it going to be part of the fees? Is it going to be some sort of a listing fee? If it's either of those two things, I'm really interested. The question I'm asking myself now, and may have already been answered by the time you listen to this, is ownership of the MuesliSwap milk tokens going to result in this stream of new project tokens being accumulated at some level by the Milk token holders. I have no idea to what degree or if that will be true at all, but I'm really excited to find out on the 31st exactly what those token rewards are going to be. Part of me, I may be being overly optimistic, but part of me thinks this may turn out to be an awesome surprise. Again, I don't have any inside information here whatsoever. I'm just guessing and speculating. This is all pure speculation. Regardless of how that announcement turns out, I want to personally thank the MuesliSwap team for bringing us something different that works very, very well. This is what I call innovation. We also saw the launch of the ADAX DEX today. Of course, all the ADAX supporters, the ADAX community was super hyped for this. This is the big day they've been waiting for. I haven't used it yet. In the comments down below, if you've used it, let me know. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I saw a lot of chatter about the UI, a lot of chatter about the UI UX. Let me know, what was your experience using the platform? Did you like the user experience? Did you not like it? I'm really curious to see what the Army of Spies says about this. The Meld initial stake pool offering airdrop also went down, I believe, a day early. I think that wasn't supposed to happen until the 31st, but that also went down, I believe, today. Yep, that was just today. And they had this to say. They said the Cardano blockchain serves nearly 40,000 people, with the Meld ISPO airdrop being performed successfully in just 90 minutes. So it's great to hear, amid all the talk of congestion and all the stuff surrounding the SundaySwap launch, it's great to hear that Meld was able to use the blockchain for their airdrop, and it worked great, apparently, distributing their tokens to 40,000 people in just 90 minutes. You'll remember from our coverage not too long ago that Evergrande, the, I believe, second biggest real estate developer in China, which makes them the second biggest entity in a sector that is 30% of the second biggest economy in the world. Evergrande had begged its foreign investors, the holders of its debt, not to institute any legal actions that would be destructive, as they put it. Apparently, Oaktree Capital of Los Angeles did not care. You might know Oaktree from the sort of investment memos of Howard Marks. They tend to invest in troubled assets like this. But Oaktree did not care, and they seized the gigantic Venice project of Evergrande in Shanghai, and also the Castle project in Hong Kong, where Evergrande was going to build a Versailles-like mansion. This is not good news for Evergrande, and I think probably part of Evergrande saying it would be destructive for foreign companies to be doing things that might lead to the seizure of these assets, would be that it would be slightly embarrassing for Beijing during the coming Olympics. But it looks like Oaktree Capital did not care. Not a good sign for real estate developers in China. This is going to be a protracted story, and we're just kind of in the early stages of seeing what happens to the Chinese real estate sector. We don't know if eventually this will become a big thing, and we'll see the ripple effects of this in crypto in the rest of the world. But I hope you are starting at a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.